It's that time of year again. I am getting tons of emails, phone calls, WhatsApps with people asking me for dating advice. And over the next few minutes, we're gonna dig deep into the world of Patek Philippe dating so that you too can understand how and when to date your watch. If you're lucky enough to have the original certificate of origin or the extract from the archives, you know exactly when your Patek Philippe was made. If you don't have those documents, it's a wonderful tool to know when your watch was made from the movement number. Now, there are multiple resources where you can try to assess the year that your watch was made. Here is the basic storyline of Patek Philippe movement numbers. It all began in 1839 with movement number 1. And throughout time, every single Patek Philippe was assigned a movement number. Today, we see Patek Philippe's starting with the number 7 in the 7 million series. But when we go back through time, you could even see from the first few digits, you're going to be able to assess when your Patek Philippe was made, when you find that movement block that it's part of. It's very important to note that although we're in the 7 million series, I believe there's approximately 2 million Patek Philippe watches that were made, and there's numerous cases of unused blocks of numbers throughout history. It makes things very confusing at times when blocks are resurrected from the past. But with the tools I'm about to share with you now, you're going to be able to know with relative certainty when your Patek Philippe was made. So it is my absolute pleasure to show the Collectability dating chart for the first time, which will also be available online at collectability.com so that you can quickly take a look and use it as a tool to know when your Patek Philippe was made. So here it is. Here's the chart. This chart shows a general overview of the Patek Philippe movement number system. Starting in 1839 with movement number 1, we could see as the chart moves through the 19th century and quickly gets to movement number 111,801, starting in 1900. At this point in time, it's safe to say that Patek Philippe made approximately 100,000 watches, even with the skipped movement blocks, throughout its first 60 years plus of history. Now, it's fun to see from the early 20th century, we could see how Patek Philippe slowly ramped up production. And we could see movement number 193,781 starting in 1920. It's important to note again that all movement numbers were not used, and there are plenty of gaps of unused number sequences throughout Patek Philippe's history. Now, as we go through the early 20th century and we see Patek Philippe slowly ramp up production, we could see by 1960, we break the 1 million mark in terms of movement numbers used. And things start to get more predictable through the 60s and the 90s. Things get a little wild in 1995 with the introduction of the caliber 315 and the movement number block 3 million. The 3 million numbers continue through the year 2000. In 2009, Patek Philippe started with the 5 million block of numbers. This is when things get really interesting because Patek Philippe, let's just say, was getting smart to the market and wanted to mix and match numbers so people couldn't guess the exact year of production. Because if you're buying a watch, you really don't want to look at old inventory and think that it was made 3 years ago. You want to think it's a new watch that's being sold today. So Patek Philippe was very clever and decided to mix things up a bit to make it impossible for you as a consumer to know what year your watch was made unless you had that certificate of origin in your hands. So during this period of time when I was at Patek Philippe, I remember getting numerous phone calls of end consumers and retailers. They were very confused about this new numbering system, and it was done very purposefully, and I have to say, executed brilliantly by Patek Philippe. So people really would have to work with their authorized retailer to know the actual date of production with their certificate of origin. 2009, in the beginning of the 5 million series, was also very important because this is the introduction of the PP seal, the Patek Philippe seal. So if your movement number starts with a 5 in that 5 million range, you can be quite sure it has a Patek Philippe seal, which is a really handy reference point when looking and dating your watches. Now, moving on to 2015. This is the era that we're in now. It's the 7 million series block. So any Patek Philippe that you're buying from your local AD today is most likely going to have a 7 million serial number on the certificate of origin. The exceptions are endless to this numbering system I'm sharing with you today. So I have to emphasize that numerous times so that you don't make mistakes on your collecting journey. Ultimately, that extract or certificate is the bottom line, and you do want to have those documents to reference actual date of production, but this is a wonderful way to approximate the date of production in the meantime. Now, where is all this information coming from? It's a great pleasure to say it comes from books. Presently, you can't go online and get all of this information accurately. You need to reference books. In the Bible of all Patek Philippe is the Huber and Bambury series of books, wristwatches and pocket watches. These two books do have a list of movement numbers, which were made between 1839 and 1971, so that you can quickly and easily reference date of production. More recently, in Nick Falk's authorized biography of Patek Philippe, has a very handy caliber-based dating system chart in the back of the book. This table is so useful in knowing when your particular calibers were made so that you can further date not only the production of your watch, but the production of the caliber. Most recently, there's a series of books from Tortella and Sons. There's an extraordinary resource for dating your watch. It's called the Blue Book series. So with all this information that's out there, and from my database that I've been building, it's my pleasure to present to you on collectability.com this new dating resource for you to use. So now I'd like to show you how you can use these resources to accurately find the year of production of your watch. So first, we'll start with this beautiful 19th century quarter repeater. This particular piece has a cuvette with the movement number written on it prominently. And you can see the movement number is 4231. So that information is very important. Why? Because you take that number 4231, you go to the Bambury book here, and you can look during this block of numbers from 3740 to 7825 represents all Patek Philippe watches made from 1850 to 1855. So we could approximate that this watch was made circa 1850. Now the next watch it's a bit later on. And we're very fortunate that this observatory watch has the movement number written on the dial, which is not something we commonly see. This was done for observatory trial watches. And here we could see movement number 177537 prominently shown on the dial. So we can go back to the Bambury book and we look for the movement, which would be in the 177 series. And it brings us all the way down to here between movement 174241 and movement number 193780. We easily see how our number 177537 fits in between. So we know the watch was made between 1915 and 1920. And I have the archive for this watch already, and it confirms it was made in 1919. So we know our tools are accurate. Now here is where it gets a little crazy. Modern watches from the last 25 years. It's very difficult to know what date your watch was made, but we can approximate using similar tools that we've seen from the past. Even my personal watch, my 5135 that I'm wearing today, this is movement number 3424582. And I wouldn't know exactly what year of production that was until you see our chart on collectability, because now we know this was made circa 2008, 2009, and that is confirmed on my certificate of origin, so I know it's accurate. So the 3 million series falls within that range in the beginning of the 2000s. Now this is a little discovery which I think is quite fun and a very useful tool for you to have, and that is some of the most recent movement numbers that we're seeing from Patek Philippe. So this particular movement number here starts with 5,582,000 1,000. So the 5 million series is a very key thing to know about, because this is the beginning of the Patek Philippe seal. So if your watch starts with a 5 million number, you know that it should have the Patek Philippe seal. This particular piece, we know from the movement number, was made in the year 2014. So it's just a very useful tool that you can check yourself, the year of production, and then cross-reference with the certificate of origin or extract once you have it. Collectability is pleased to offer you this dating guide. I hope it's helpful for your collecting, and I hope it's informative as you go down this journey, trying to learn everything you can about your Patek Philippe. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe on YouTube, Instagram, and also TikTok. Enjoy your collecting, and don't forget to enjoy the hunt.